peanut butter and jam, long walks and a beer, the sea and mindfulness. These are great pairings of things. And another great pairing is sales and marketing. So as we're in the marketing business, we wanted to talk to a growth specialist to help us uncover some sales skills that we could share with you. And we're very lucky to be joined by Donncha Lynch, who is a growth specialist. Hello, Donnie.
How are you?
Joining. Yeah, very good. How's your day going?
Yeah, no, been a very, very busy day as usual in the world of sales.
Sure. And what's your tell us a little bit about your journey of like how do you get into sales? Is that something that you came from school, university, knowing that you were good at? Is it a skill that you found out early on, or is it something that you developed in the business world?
Yeah, it's definitely what I developed. I went to university. I studied sport and recreation management, done a degree in that, so definitely not sales orientated. And I worked in that industry for some time back in Sligo in Ireland. And when I moved out of that role, I was between roles and fell into labour hire recruitment in a sales role. So my first job in that sector was very sales orientated, and a guy took me under his wing, and I really learned an awful lot around door knocking, cold calling, prospecting, email. And this was before the time of CRMs, so it was really very much reliant on the yellow pages and
manual,
real old school sales. So that's where I started, and it would have been 1999, so you're talking 25 odd years ago. From there, then my journey began.
Yeah,
in sales. And
I think
really
Google was around in 1999.
I remember we just had two big desks in this office, and it was just you had a phone. Mobile phones were really just out. Really, they probably came out in 95, but 99,
you had a Nokia with Snake.
Yeah. We had the Nokia. It was like a brick. It was unbreakable. So that was very much the commencement of my journey in sales. Just yellow pages, calling companies, and then door knocking all the different construction sites, trying to win work, and then following up. So simple strategy, but was very effective.
Because recruitment especially is hard.
Recruitment is a really competitive sector, and there is the variable that you are supplying people, and people can be unreliable, so you are selling a product which may not show up. Right, and that's the unfortunate thing.
And there's no control. You can't control it as much as you like think it is.
If you're the salesperson, there's in recruitment you kind of have these three different models. You can have 360 where you're searching for a new company to supply staff to, and you own the recruitment process, and that's a good model because you can own the whole deliverable aspect of what you're selling, which is people. If you're dedicated sales only, then you have to, when you bring the opportunity on, you have to turn around to the person that's filling the role and make sure there's a good handover, and you don't own the delivery, and that can sometimes come back and bite you if people don't show up on the job, or we don't supply enough candidates, or we simply just don't deliver what we promised. So that's the real challenge, particularly in sales within the recruitment sector.
Yeah. So what's the old school method? Because in 1999... I was door knocking, and I was given this 5-step sales process. So you present, you make them an offer. I can't remember. Then the end is the close. So, what was it back then? Without CRMs and?
I've always kind of followed a very simple, BANT. It's like budget, authority, need, and timeline. So you're picking up the phone. You're ensuring that the person you're talking to has the authority, right?
Yeah.
You're talking to the right person. If not, who is the right person? If it's the right person, do they actually have the budget to spend money on an outsourced recruitment company like the company I represent? Do they have the need? Is there a genuine need right now or within the next 6 months? Or do you simply meet with them and then put them into some sort of nurturing workflow where eventually down the track they may have a need? And then obviously timeline. do they have a set timeline to when they actually want people? So they're that's the, I guess, the methodology that I've really followed over the years, and it's memorable. There's a lot of different methodologies out there. There's acronyms for everything within sales, and there's been various different ones. I mean, traditional sales back in 1999 was you could potentially just rock up, win a customer on the first call, cold call or door knock. But now, buyers there's so much content, they can quickly do a review of your business on Google. They're a lot more educated. So in sales now, you can sometimes put in the call and they've already done a lot of work in the background evaluating your business. So, that whole traditional approach is gone. So it's all about sharing insights, educating them through the buying journey. And it's very much about the buyer and how they buy instead of you and how you sell.
So like in 1999, there might not have been CRMs and sort of like this digital process behind the scenes, but the sort of relationship building is still a part of it, whether you get reminded to do that relationship building or not. Do you think how important is the relationship part of sales?
Yeah, the relationship is still fundamental. And, that was obviously really heightened during COVID when we were all working from home and everything had to be done digitally. And it was so hard to read body language and it was so hard to build emotional rapport. So I'm a huge believer, yes, you have to do the outbound, but the most critical part of the sales and buyer engagement process is actually getting out to meet the person and building a bit of rapport, getting to learn about them as a person and their, if it's about their family and their hobbies, becoming a friend in a way if you can. Not all buyers want to be friends. That's fair enough. We all have different disc profiles and different colors, So if you can learn about their needs in a face-to-face context, fantastic, and build on those relationships because, people say we didn't use you because of price, but a lot of the reason is I didn't have enough trust in your business. I didn't have enough trust in your value proposition, and that's why we didn't go with you. So
when you say trust, it doesn't mean that you're not a trustworthy person. It's that you haven't you've omitted something from your proposal.
Absolutely, yeah. So trust is we want to spend whatever $10,000 on finding a really difficult to source position for our business, which is critical for our growth plans and our strategic priorities. I want to trust your firm to be able to go out there and find that person, right? That's a big commitment, right? So trust is everything. And for me as a salesperson, as I'm engaging with the buyer, adding value and adding insights and building trust all the way through that journey is critical because it's such a competitive sector. So trust, I think, is probably the most fundamental part of it. Risk is another part that you need to address as well because, what is the risk of me giving you that position and you don't put all your energy into filling that role? That means that role will go unfilled, which will impact the productivity of my business, impact the strategic priorities that we're trying to achieve and the objectives we're trying to achieve. So what's the risk plan there for that? So being able to address risk, to give them the confidence that we've got everything in place here to ensure that we can find the right person. If we don't find the right person, this is the plan.
Yeah. So then we talk about funnels and things, and we're talking about adding value at each stage of the customer journey. So is building trust always giving? Is it always adding an insight, or is it proving things, or is it just a combination of
It's a combination of a lot of things. So let's say I'm trying to win business from your business, right? I'm trying to win a contract with you and you don't know who I am. I've done my due diligence. I've done a bit of research. I noticed that you're an ideal customer I'd like to bring on. I would basically call you, hopefully try and get a meeting. And if I got a meeting and there was some key action items from that, I'd make sure that I followed up on all those action items, because that's building trust, right?
So you're ready to do some work.
I'm ready to do some work, but I'm also giving you the confidence that, well, he said he was going to do that and he done it, right? And they're only little small things, but if I missed a beat there and I didn't follow up in time and I didn't even thank you for the meeting, you know, that leaves a gap, right? And that erodes trust.
Yeah. So there's accountability in the sales process.
And I promise to follow up. I'm following up on my promises and my commitments. So these are the little basic things you need to be doing in the sales process to ensure that you, as a buyer, has the confidence to come to my business and purchase off us. And they're only small, but they all add up. Like James Clear and the Atomic Habits and, you know, incremental gains over a period of time. Very, very relevant in sales, because 1% now, today, over the course of a 6-month buying cycle can be massive. So insights post-meeting, ensuring that you follow up on the action items, but also in that meeting you would have learned a lot about your business. So what value can I add now? Bar from the main service that I provide, but is there other value that I can help you with? You know, because I might have a unique perspective on how I see your business, and you're sharing some insights, and that could be content you're creating yourself, or it could be some content that you share and you reference where you got that content.
Yeah.
It could be a LinkedIn post that you notice might resonate with you and you share it. It could be an ebook that you find online and you share it, or it could be a salary guide or whatever it might be.
Referral.
Or a referral. Or you might have a sales team yourselves, and I could say, why don't I network with your head of sales or your BDM? Or so you're always trying to add value along the sales cycle, and ultimately you want to get to a position where you become partners, strategic partners.
Yeah. And then what's the difference between something you can give them in the sales process and value you want to retain for the cold hard cash? You know, like, what's billable and what must you be willing to give away?
Yeah, look at as you build, you know, you're going to have your sector that you work on, right? So I work for a staffing company, and we supply staff to a certain sector, certain verticals. And I would have, you know, in manufacturing, for instance, I would have various different manufacturing articles and content. I'd have a value library that I've built over the years.
Yeah.
Now, you want that to be relevant to 2024, right? So I wouldn't be sharing data from 2023, but that's free to share. I share it on email, or I'd share it through LinkedIn, or I'd put through a smart link on Sales Navigator. That's only costing me time, and I'm fine. I want to invest time because I want to embed myself in your business and become a strategic partner, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, down the track, we'll get to the stage where there will be a commercial relationship of some sort. But in a highly competitive market, I'm going to invest my time in creating content, in sharing insights, in educating you through the journey. And when we get to that position of a commercial relationship, I'll continue to share some of those insights. And if it's monthly reviews or weekly reviews on our performance, we'll give you the visibility on how we're tracking, but also we'll say, I think you should be doing this. You know, we want to be the number one reason, and this was a big study that was done by the RAIN Group, who are a big training coaching organization. They're based in America, but they've got businesses here or offices here in Australia. They looked at 404 B2B and B2C transactions, and the number one reason why buyers bought from certain companies was because at number one, they were educating them, right? And building trust.
Yeah.
Not just, oh, how great we are. Like, that's delete. I don't want to talk to you because you're just being promotional about how great you are. People don't want to hear that. They want to see, what can you do to help my business thrive, right? What value can you bring our business?
Because every business has got a goal, a vision, a mission, whatever you want to call it, of where it wants to be. Where do you slot into it? And can you show from the offset that you are part of that you can add value.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many tools out there now where you can quickly find out, particularly if it's a big business, you can find out about their strategic priorities, right? So whether it be on Sales Navigator LinkedIn, or whether it be on their annual report, for instance, right? The chairperson's address will have their strategic priorities for the next 12 months or next 5 years. You look at your business and go, how can I help them achieve their strategic priorities, right? So I'm a recruitment company, right? I know that I can do what probably 2,000 other companies can do in Australia, right? But can I go a little step further and help them achieve their strategic priorities? And that is differentiation. That is true differentiation. I know I can find really great candidates. I know we've got a great business that can support that. But what else can we do? We want to be their sole provider. We want to be their embedded HR function. So it's thinking a little bit differently, and, you know, staying connected is all about connecting, building trust at every interaction.
Yeah. A very good salesperson I know once told me that the best salespeople you don't realise you're being sold to. Is there things that you can relate to that, or insights?
I think if I look at, I manage quite a big sales team and customer management team in Australia and New Zealand. I've done that for the last 7 or 8 years. The best people are people that are always thinking about the customer, you know, and they build really good relationships at the start. So they're talking about family, they're talking about AFL, they're talking about NRL, they're talking about golf, you know, and they're finding out about their interests. And, you know, that goes to your point. They don't even realise that they're being sold to. And that's not my intent to sell to them. It's actually to get to know and build relationships, the critical part. And I see some of our best people are really brilliant at that. You know, they build long-term relationships. They end up meeting people at the weekends for golf and for AFL games and stuff, because they've actually become friends outside of this whole buyer B2B world, you know.
So I guess it's that reframing of maybe sales is the wrong word for it almost. It's like, it's not sales, it's consultancy. Value.
Yeah, it's value engineering. You know, would probably be, you can't put that on a business card, you know, I'm a value. But I feel
people are more familiar with sales.
Yeah. I mean, sales does turn people off sometimes when they see it on a business card. So growth specialist, or, you know, value creator,
sure, that's the marketing side of it,
success manager. You know, that's really what I see it. You are engineering the success of a business, right? That is your fundamental role if you're in sales. It's not just about, I want quick wins, right? That's transactional. Anybody can do that. You know? You want to be a strategic partner. You want to have a long-term relationship. You want to be there through their journey, through the ups and through the highs and the lows.
So what are some red flags of a business that can need to do a bit of work on their sales?
You know, we talked earlier about 1999 with you know, before CRMs. I think critical part of success now is making sure that you've got a record of all interactions, you know, and you've got a process in place. So whether that be HubSpot or Salesforce or Dynamics or Monday.com, it's having a central system,
place of truth.
A central, one single source of truth, where you're talking to ABC builders and you're looking to win a contract doing the plasterboard or the plastering for that business. You are engaging with the managing director, but you're also engaging with their site managers, and you've got one single view of the interactions, but you're also marketing to them as well. And you've got a lot of people in your company, and you want to make sure there's only the one person doing it, because you don't want to look unprofessional because somebody else is calling them. So the benefits of having a really robust CRM stops that from happening. Everything is automated as well. So you've got all the Teams links and your Outlook, and you have your LinkedIn. Everything's interconnected into the one system. So you're not jumping in and out of all different systems. That's really, really important. Being professional on the phone, being professional and courteous in your all your communications. The best salespeople, the best outbound people in the country do that really, really well. Right? People don't want to be spammed. Right? So
no, and that's an interesting thing, because there's a lot of that at the moment. I feel that people are relying too much on the function over the relationship sometimes.
Yeah. There's a lot of spamming, there's a lot of transactional stuff, and that gets deleted. You know, in the business I'm in, we done a big door knocking campaign recently, but we tailored it. We targeted companies that potentially might need our services, and you know, we went old school with goodie bags and business cards and flyers, but we ended up meeting a lot of companies, and the feedback was, we don't mind you calling into us. We get bombarded with emails. We don't even read them anymore.
No.
There's so many sales emails in our inbox, and this is refreshing to be able to have a conversation. And our general training around doing the door knocks was, look, we're here to help out if you ever need it. If you're with somebody else, that's fine. If it's okay to keep in touch with you, here's a goodie bag. So very low key. I think that's a nice approach in today's market. Some companies are going a little bit too hot and heavy, too pushy. Can't push, you know, you have to have a respectable way in doing your interactions and your sales. It's all about respect. It's all about trust, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it kind of like has that feel of those 80s films of the real sort of aggressive salesman.
Oh, yeah. Wolf on Wall Street.
Yeah. It's not like that anymore. It's.
I think the market has definitely changed where it's more professional. You know, particularly in the staffing sector, you know, you have really good training. You know, a lot of the big companies have an L&D department, so
yeah,
you know, there's always really good training, particularly for new people coming into the business on how to sell properly and how to build relationships. You always will have, you know, why does sales have such a bad rep? It's because there's always the 2-3% outliners there that will do the shoddy deals and harass and churn and burn, you know. That's not what top people do, you know. And I mentioned earlier around education and value creation all the way through the buying journey is critical.
Yeah. Churn and burn is an interesting phrase. I like that. And so, like, qualifying and making sure that you're targeting people who you could help as opposed to sell to, that increases your law of averages. Is that hold true? Because in sales, when I was a door knocker, the law of averages was 1 in 10.
Yeah,
it was just flat rate, like
1 in 10. Yeah. Well, it's an interesting stat, and it's very much based on volume. It's very, very important to do your research and build your foundations to the type of buyer you want to work with. So, if in staffing, right, if you're focusing, let's say, on winning customers within transport, logistics and manufacturing, you really want to make sure that those companies you're targeting are aligned to the best customers that you have. And what's the ideal criteria for the best customers? Well, they pay their bills on time, they care and have a real focus on safety, they have a good culture, they communicate really well.
Yeah.
Who wants to work with a company that doesn't reply to emails or don't reply to phone calls? So an example might be you end up working with a company, they sign your contract, they've got 10 open roles. You put all this hard work into screening hundreds of candidates, and you send resumes, and you never hear back on the outcome. Do they want to interview? And it's too slow. That's poor communication. So you look at the companies that are ideally your ideal customers that are billing the most and have the best relationships, and you try and align that criteria to who you're targeting. And if you do that really well at the front end, what happens is your messaging resonates more. The types of candidates you supply stick and end up getting hired more and end up staying there longer than other companies. Culturally, you're more aligned. Safety, hugely important. Probably the number one. It is not probably the number one part of this. If you're in temporary staffing, you want to make sure that the people you supply are safe on the host site. So you need to ensure that from a safety perspective, that's really bogged down. And I mentioned earlier about culture, technology savvy as well. Recruitment has gone down that route. You want to make sure you're aligning with companies that are on board with integrating potentially with your technology, because you want to reduce friction, you want to reduce administration. So there are some of the things that we look for.
Yeah. So if people want to find out more about you or reached out to you for advice on growth or sales, can they contact on your LinkedIn or
Yeah,
where can they go
absolutely.
for that?
Absolutely. Look, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on Facebook. So LinkedIn, Donncha Lynch. LinkedIn, you'll find me there. Donncha. It's a very funny pronunciation here in Australia. I've been called a lot of funny names, but people know me as Donny.
Yeah.
Donny.
Yeah, nice. And what's a little sort of final sales advice or a quote, or something interesting you can leave us with?
Yeah, it's a good one. I would say the most important aspect of this is, set yourself up for success. Set a goal every day, right? So when you come in, set a goal to achieve 3 important tasks, right? From a sales perspective. And that might be, first task might be, I want to book 3 meetings today. Second task might be, I've got 3 proposals that I need to finish off. The third task might be, I need to do my pre-meeting planning. So always come in, set up your 3 task goals for the day.
Yeah.
Productivity is huge, and people say that you need to be a boy. I don't believe in, I was a born salesperson. I don't believe in that. I know lots of introverts that are fantastic at sales, and they are because they've got the process, the structure, the methodologies, and the communication skills to be really effective at it. So I'm a firm believer, set yourself some goals. You can have long-term, short-term, daily goals. Tick those off. And that leads to really, it's a tough sector, right? Because you're going to get rejected a lot. Yeah. If you can achieve some of those basic goals during the day, so I've booked 3 meetings, fantastic, right? I've sent out 2 quotes, fantastic, right? You end the day with wins. It's not all about winning the customer. Just nothing down to simple, basic things.
Yeah, because if you don't write it down, if it's not a goal, it won't happen.
And it needs to be achievable as well. So you can't set unrealistic. If you're working in a very competitive space and booking meetings, you look back at your stats, booking 3 meetings in a day could be really hard. So you might just bring that back to 1 meeting a day. So.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really inspired. Thank you so much for talking to us. I've got a few emails to get back to now.
No worries at all.
Accountability in the sales process. I think that's one of the things I picked up really that I can really work on. But I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity.